but many times the mainstream media here within the United States, they keep these issues localized and they don't report it to the rest of the public. So they make it seem as if when an incident like this happens, it only happens within your own community. Many people in Florida or on the East Coast might be familiar with Trayvon Martin. They might not be familiar with Oscar Grant in Oakland, California, who was murdered on the BART station with his handcuffs behind his back. He was handcuffed behind his back and they murdered him. They might not be familiar with Kenneth Harding in Texas. And those in Texas familiar with Kenneth Harding might not be familiar with the imam who was murdered by the federal government in Michigan. Those in Michigan familiar with that case might not be familiar with Bell, Louima, or Diallo in New York. You had Bell, he was coming home from a bachelor party. Him and his friends, they got in the car, they were unarmed. The police converged on the vehicle and let off 40-something shots. One officer emptied his clip, reloaded, and continued to shoot. You had another brother, they stuck a plunger up his rectum. The police didn't do any time, they got off. You had another brother, he was an African immigrant here in New York, and the police had stopped him. He went in his pocket to get his wallet. They shot him 27 times. When he was on the ground, they continued to shoot. So the Trayvon Martin incident, the Oscar Grant incident, these incidences are not isolated incidences. There are hundreds of black men that are being murdered all over the United States of America every year, with impunity. And the police officers, they serve no time. They always get off.
Well, the U.S. prison population, Mr. Shabazz, stands at 2.3 million people, which is the largest worldwide. However, black males, which represent the largest percentage, about 40% of the population, they form only 12% of the national population. A black male is 7 times more likely to be imprisoned than a white male. That's according to estimates. Why are so many African Americans in prison, and what's the underlying reason for this situation?
I mean, it's a continuation of institutionalized racism. See, what happened, they didn't have so many prisons here in the United States during slavery. And when they so-called abolished slavery, that's when they came up with this prison industrial complex. The United States has more people incarcerated than anywhere else in the world. It has more people incarcerated than China. And China has the most people in the world. Matter of fact, if you were to take the prison population in all the other countries of the world and you were to combine them together, I don't think it would equal the amount of people who are incarcerated here in the United States of America. It's correct. The so-called African American makes up less than 12% of the population of the United States. Yet no matter what state you go to, you'll see that the majority of the prisoners within any prison population, the majority of them are black and Hispanic. And in these institutions, people are forced to work for pennies on a dollar. If you look at the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, it says that slavery is abolished except for those who serve within these penal institutions. So technically, by the book, those who are in prison are considered to be slaves, and that's why they can be forced to work for a minimum wage, which is less than the minimum wage here in the United States.
And Mr. Shabazz, when you say that the racism against the black people, African Americans, is institutionalized, what basically should be done in your view? What's the move that should be taken by the population, by African Americans, by those who are concerned about racism to stop this from happening or to force the government to act?
I mean, my grandfather once equated revolution to a forest fire, and he stated that the goal of the revolution was that like the forest fire, where the forest fire, it ravages the forest completely. He said that needs to be the goal of the revolution, where we take down the system completely and we set up one of our own, which is more just. We live in a society here in America where there's an upper, middle, and a lower class. And as long as there's an upper, middle, and lower class, that means that there's somebody going to be on the top, somebody's always going to be on the bottom, and somebody's always going to be on the middle. If black people or Hispanic people or whatever group that is being discriminated against was to move from the bottom to the middle or from the middle to the top, that just means that there's another group of people that would have to replace that bottom. So this is something that we need to take in consideration and realize. And the people that are going to stay on the bottom are always going to be people of color, because we're the easiest to be discriminated against because of the color of our skin. We can't blend in like Jews or Italians and what have you.
Mr. Shabazz,
So,
unfortunately,
first and foremost, this is something that we need to
Yeah, unfortunately we're running out of time, and I'd just like to hear from you in 30 seconds, if you can, as the last question. Do you think that we're going to see a black uprising in America, rather the civil rights movement joining the 99%ers in America? What are you expecting?
I don't know what to expect, but I know that there are uprisings going on all throughout the world, whether it be Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Syria. We have these so-called uprisings, these so-called revolutions, and many times the Occupy movement here in the United States. And my one problem is that I can't identify any central leadership or a governing body, and I have a problem with that. And what I advise the people to do, one of the things that my grandfather stated, is that you should never join a movement unless you're completely aware of what that movement is about. Because a lot of times we have outside forces that orchestrate these movements and get us to do things that we wouldn't ordinarily do. Just like with the Occupy movement, from one day to the next, how do they know what's going on or what's the next action to be taken? They look at it in the news. In the news it says, all right, tomorrow the movement is going to be over here. We're going to mobilize over there. But where is it coming from? It's coming through the media. And the media is a tool that the enemy uses in order to control, manipulate, and mold the popular opinion of the masses. So one thing I could just say is for people to be very leery of the movements they join and the actions that they take.
Department officers, my car was searched, I was searched, I was brought, I'm just this how I talk, sir, no disrespect. Okay. I was brought, to my attention, they had a call, they responded to a call about an AK-47. I was stuck in the ditch waiting on a tow truck, man. I was, what? Me and my mother, fiance, we were detained for about 15 minutes at gunpoint by all of your St. Louis fighters right here. I understand and I kept a respectful with him and let him know I understand he's doing the job, but there's a car falling stuck in the ditch. What can I possibly do? They searched my vehicle. I'm talking about a truck. I'm talking about under the car, under the hood, all through the whole vehicle. For an AK-47, I could put an AK-47 under the hood of a car with a motor in it. The description that they gave me was a 5'10" man with drills. I'm 5'6", sir. With a red bandana. I wear blue clothes. I'm just saying. I got a grandma. I come over here at 9 o'clock in the morning to make sure she got her food or her medicine. I can't get through nothing but 3 barricades. My mother has to walk to Lucas and Hunter from Solway to Lucas and Hunter West Farthing with the lease and the deed to our home showing that we are residential over here. So I can get through because her address is not on my ID. I've been watching the news, been out here. I watch the news.
Much less chaotic. On whose end? Who's less chaotic? I just heard you say it's much less chaotic here. Who's less chaotic? Cops, the protesters.
11 o'clock here on the streets of Ferguson. That's Captain Ron Johnson walking with the demonstrators as he does every night. Really chaotic out here. There's less people out here on the streets tonight.
Been in the news like usual. I've been asking the gentleman a question. He won't answer me.
Yeah. Well, there's no tear gas tonight, right?
That's why that's chaotic on the police part, or
just chaotic in general.
But when you say that, people see it at home, and they make assumptions based on what the mainstream media.
In my stories, we show the pictures too.
Do you really? What's your site, sir? I'll check it out. Basically, no information means yes, they do spin it. If he was here to tell the truth, he would have given me more information about where he's with. I'm going to continue calling out the mainstream media when I see him saying bullshit like that. I don't know who he's with. Looks like an independent, but that smug attitude that pissed me off. Mainstream media pissed me off more than police tonight. You know what I'm saying, right? Well, you know about how the way the media spins. You know, making it look like everyone's a bunch of animals here, it's going to tear shit up. So, I mean, he was just on his live report, like, much less chaotic here. I asked him, do you mean less chaotic on the protesters or on the police? He's like, well, we show pictures so they know what we're talking about. I'm like, no. 2 miles of the radius of they see your report at home and they assume you mean, oh, protesters weren't violent.
Not that you barricade residential streets with concrete slabs through people's yards. Where if my grandma wanted to go to Hollis Ferry to go get her medicine, she has to drive through West Fork and take a 2.5-mile detour to get to where she has to go from her home. Not that when we walk out the house, we're overcome with pepper spray. I have a 76-year-old grandma who cannot walk with diabetes. She needs her medicine. In order for her to go to the store, it takes her 2 hours, 3 hours. She has to go through 3 checkpoints. My mother and them is showing occupancy permits, bills with addresses on it just to get home. I couldn't get through her. My mother walked a mile to Lucas and Hunt in West Florida to show her lease so her son could get to her house because my address is not, her address is not on my ID.
I will take it into account, but I can also say this, this will be the last thing I'll say. If we allow these businesses to go under, there are a lot of parents and grandparents, seniors, that this is their neighborhood. This is where they go.
Our neighborhood, my grandmother's neighborhood.
Okay, I understand.
Yes, sir.
I understand, but I'm talking about our seniors.
And she's the senior.
Okay, and this is their neighborhood. And when we do these businesses, look how many businesses are boarded up. We broke into Family Dollar. We broke into, when I say we, I'm not talking about necessarily you, but they were broken into the meat market.
Right, community business.
Listen, and so now they can't, if we let this go under, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to let this go under. I'm not going to let this go away, because if you look at the places throughout this country that had similar issues, they never were rebuilt. And those seniors that remain in those communities, the sick that remain in those communities, have to go miles and miles to drive. And I know when my father got a little bit older, he couldn't drive far. He could just drive in the neighborhood. Well, we need to have these businesses here. So I know there's some inconveniences. There's some inconveniences for friends of mine that live in this neighborhood. But you know what? If we have to suffer a little bit of inconvenience for a better tomorrow, and so I apologize if you had some inconvenience, but I'm telling you, it's not personal. It is for public safety. And we have had some safe nights tonight. Kids have been able to walk these streets, and there's a reason we do. There's a reason we've done what we've done. And it's
basically
not,
kept all the protesters out.
No.
Even the people who have the free right to fire citizens.
It's to keep the criminals out. It's keep
everybody's not a criminal. I'm not a criminal.
I understand that. And that has affected us all. I didn't see you break into the store, I know, but they are.
Do they not have a right to be angry? They have a right to be angry, sir. What about their legitimate right to be angry? How do you own somebody else's anger? They're angry because they've been in this community and they've seen this stuff go on and on and on.
I don't bomb rush. Don't bomb rush. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson.
That's right.
But I want to ask you one more question. Just one more. When would the barricades be moved?
I can tell you
I want to know when
I can tell you this.
When would the barricades be moved?
You have a right to be angry, but you do not have, if anger makes you, I'm going to ask you a simple question.
Sure.
Can you go get gas in the neighborhood you live in? Can you go eat in the neighborhood you live in? Can you get meat in the neighborhood you get in? So you're here saying, do they have a right to be angry? Do they have a right to tear stuff down? But you're going to go home and get gas. You're going to go home and eat. You're going to go home and be comforted in your house.
But my grandma.
But don't come to this neighborhood and agitate the people and
justify
what's happening.
Not what I'm doing. I'm not justifying.
But my grandma's not going to get gas. My 76-year-old grandma not going to get this. And all I wanted to ask Mr. Johnson is, when are they going to move the barricade so we can live our life? Because we're not all criminals. Just because you look like me don't make you a criminal. We're not dogs. I can't move. My grandma is in a wheelchair. She can't get down here because she got a concrete block in front of her house. You want to go look at it? We can go. I'll take you in the house. We're not criminals. Like he said, he's going to his home. It's the chirping of the birds, and the crickets are chirping, and the grass is green. And he's going to eat dinner with his family. But we're going to still go through this. And when I come out here at 9 o'clock in the morning to take my grandma to the doctor, I got to show 3 forms of ID 3 times. And I don't have it. That's why I'm mad.
Thank you.
That man still ain't telling no more.
Who? Which man? Ron Johnson?
Ron Johnson, yeah, that man ain't telling no motherfucking truth.
Hey, I saw you the other night. I remember you the other night. How's it going, man?
Because if the business was getting looted, if the business was getting looted, we wouldn't have y'all out here covering for us. If the business was getting looted, we wouldn't have y'all out here.
And you were here, right? You've been here?
Yeah, I've been
here.
So
okay, from your perspective,
and everything.
Did the looting start and then police got crazy, or did it go the other way around? from your perspective on the
When
ground?
the loot started, I guess
The police act
is
crazy
already
first, or
crazy.
what?
The police is already crazy. They
that was-
act crazy first, and then when the people didn't see no justice, when the people think that man get rolled out privately, that's when they started to loot. But if they wouldn't have started to loot, we wouldn't have got this case worldwide, because it was something that they was gonna sweep under the rug anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want it to go as far as Ferguson, or as far as St. Louis, or as far as St. Louis City. They didn't want it to go as far as that. They wanted to keep it in St. Louis so they would be able to sweep this under the rug when they got a chance to. You see what I'm saying? And then when the business started getting looted, that's when the police want to use brutality towards the citizens. And then why the police still hurt if you have National Guard, if you have state troopers. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Why the police is still hurt? What's the point? It just seems like this is a thing that the government is doing. It's like an experiment to them.
You know, some people say that. Some conspiracy theorists think this is part of government experiment. I don't know.
It's like an experiment to them to see, like, okay, well, New York, if you act this way, this is what's going to happen. We're going to call National Guard on you, and we're going to go full force, no matter what the case is, and the president allowing this. Because if he wasn't allowing it, it would have been stopped, and he would have said that man had to be charged with Mike Brown murder, regardless of what the situation is. He was wrong, and he knew he was wrong. So you know the point of all of this. You know what I'm saying? You seen how they treated us like dogs, how they pepper sprayed us, shot us with beanbag guns, shot us with the rubber bullets, pointing guns at us. You seen how they pointed choppers at us, like we was straight.
He had the high-powered rifle pointed at him Tuesday, and the officer said, "I'll fucking kill you."
I had
They ain't even stopped the loot. They let them loose.
They let them loose.
So now you all overprotective of something. Y'all let them loose. We was right there. It was a gang of police was right there. Everybody was running the store. They let them loose. Now y'all want to say this shit.
Thank you. Thank you.
She not. Ooh, that's what I'm saying.
But he say,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, and he said he's trying to help them. So when you grilled him like that, he didn't feel comfortable with answering.
Did you see how uncomfortable he got?
Yes,
and
he got angry.
He got angry.
Yes, his whole demeanor changed.
I challenged him. I challenged his script.
And that was the same thing that I was going to do. I was going to challenge his ass too, because I was going to ask him. So if you for the people, why are you still allowing them to ride around with their guns and jump out the car with riot gear when you have the National Guard and your people is here protecting us? Why are they still riding around and jumping out of the cars with riot gear? You know, I had the police the other night when I was sitting up there at the rest spot. I had the police the other night. It was 4 white cops in the truck. 2 of them got out the front of the truck. And one white cop put his hands up in the middle of the street while the other cop took a picture. Laugh now, don't shoot. We said record that. My friend, his recorder, he didn't get it out at time. So after he got in the car, they got to laughing at us. He started pointing his gun at us with the beamer pointing on me. And the flashlight was pointing at us. So we like, what the fuck, this dude pointing the gun at us. You know what I'm saying? And I seen the beam on him. He just wanted to say you rallying the crowd just so that could be his reason to veer away from the situation. That's what he wanted to do. But man, you already know the truth about this man. This man ain't shit. The county ain't shit. The government ain't shit. The mayor ain't shit. The alderman ain't shit. Because if he was anybody, he would have filed charges on them ASAP when they snatched him out the car, hemmed him up, and locked his ass up like he was a dog. And he got out saying he was going to get everybody out. He left everybody in there and saved his own ass. You see what I'm saying? It's just the thing.
Whoever got locked up thinking he going to get them back. You ain't finna bail all these people out.
And with what ATM though? He said he going to go to the ATM. ATM going to only give you $400. If $400, $350, $300 before your car locked up at the ATM, you would have to go to the bank and write checks or write and get money out the bank. So you can't fool nobody with none of this buffoonery that you're talking about. You see what I'm saying? Tell that to somebody that's stupid. I'm out here taking a stand for everybody that's out here, man. I'm out here taking a stand saying, for Michael Brown, for her, for you, for all of us. Because if we don't change this now, the government will take hold and put a curfew on us and lock us down like dogs. Once the government take away our rights, we will be locked down like dogs, and we will be under government. We will be, it won't be nothing but guns. It won't be no more rubber bullets. It won't be no more tear gas. It will be nothing but guns, and if we don't abide by their rules, it will be you suffering consequences. And that's what we trying to stop. See, we have a thought of everything what's going on, but we want everybody else. We want everybody else, all the people out here, to see the same thing that we seeing what's going on. They only see from one perspective. Now if we assemble the correct way, if we assemble the correct way, all these leaders get the fuck out of our way and let us be people. Let the people handle this. Let us handle this. Let us handle this as people, and we will be a lot better. We will be a lot better off. We will be a lot better off. We can gather more people. You won't have to use the skirt tactic on us to make us scared and, you know, make us run away or disperse. And then now we done went from 300 people to 30 people the next day. You see what I'm saying? And it's all just a tactic that they using. It's an experiment that they using, and the black community don't understand that. Once we get to right, and once we get to understanding that, man, we will be a whole lot better off, and we will know how to do the shit the right way. You see what I'm saying? We will know how to film. We will know how to march.
You heard it here first.
We will know how to march, because my march is march from the city to the county. Pick up everybody from the city, walking through the county, picking them up. Walking through the county, picking them up. So that way, once we hit Ferguson, we will be 1,000 deep, 2,000 deep. You see what I'm saying? These are people you can't disperse. And we will be able to assemble the way we want to. Walk in the street, walk on the highway, do what the hell we have to do to take this stand. Because if we don't take this stand, this is going to be a national law. We ain't going to be able to, they already say we can't have a sit-ins no more. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, what can we do? We can't even sit down no more. And
you know, it's funny, I didn't get a chance, but one of my viewers wanted me to ask Ron Johnson, if this was, if Martin Luther King was in the march, if it was back in the day, what would happen?
He wouldn't probably be able to answer that to save his life.
Exactly.
Because you know why? Because you know why? It would puzzle his mind. Because this is something that no one has ever asked him, so that's like throwing a rock at a wall.
Kind of like what I question, a legitimate question. And do you notice how he went basically to you're not from here right away. You're a white guy not from here. You're obviously not in this neighborhood.
How you gonna say something? He don't stay over here. He ain't gotta walk out
Thank
and worry about us.
you. So I asked him a legitimate question.
He wanted you to ask
the government, and the government is giving these guys okay to do this. They giving these guys, because if they wasn't giving them the okay, it would have been shut down. They're giving them the okay to do this, and they use the skirt tactics on us, so that way, when we want to assemble, and when we want to gather, and when we want to mount up, they will be able to break us up. Because you think how we get like maybe 150, 200, 300 people out here, and they disperse the crowd and leave us with 40, 30 people. Now it's 40 and 30 people marching. Out of 150, 200, 300 people. It's an experiment. And that's what we want the crowd to know. They, Muslim leaders, get out the street, get out the street, get out the street. If Martin Luther King was here, we would be walking in the street. If Malcolm X was here, they wouldn't even have anything bad to say to us. If they call us a nigger or frown up, it would be when we turn our back. Because you know why? We will be able to use the same thing that they use on us, we will be able to use towards them, especially if Malcolm X was living, because he lived by, you live by a gun, you die by a gun. You hit me with a billy club, I hit you with one. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Malcolm X lived by his law. Like, I have no curse. What you do to me, I do twice to you. You see what I'm saying? And that's how we have to live. We don't have to live by that, but we have to live to take care of each other and have to know our rights and have to make sure that the government don't take over what we work so hard on building. So once they figure out making this a law, trust and believe, they trying to find a way to turn this into a law. They trying to find a way to turn it into a law right now as we speak. Once they turn this free to assemble to a law, and you can't walk in the streets, you can't sit down, those are going to be the law. You can't sit down, you got to walk around from light post to light post like a dog, like a caged rat, like a caged snake. That's what the people not understand. This is a tactic, and they falling for it. Anytime that you walk from traffic light to traffic light, you falling for what they giving you. You accepting what they giving you. That's why I have remorse today, because they accepting what they giving them. You see what I'm not finna more. If I can't walk in the streets, I'm not finna more. I sit there at my post, hold my sign up and wave it like a white flag. I'm not finna march. Because if I'm not free to assemble, I'm not finna march with none of you guys. And then for my leaders to sit there and say,
I'm sorry, my brother is about to stop.
Go ahead, stop.
Stop and
Go
archive
ahead, stop it, bro.
What's your name again, brother?
Denison, man.
Denison, I met him the other day. He was awesome. I'm sure I'll see you around. I gotta stop this. I'm gonna be out for a few minutes.
Bro.
But Destin, thanks for telling the truth. I appreciate it, man.
It's the truth, man.
All right, so I'm
right back. He gonna be hated. That's all they doing for power and shit against him so that way if he get out of line, he's gonna be hated too. They gonna make the people hate him. Ron Johnson, he knows nothing about the truck, man. The dude, like, I'm gonna go shake his hand. I say I piss in his hand. I piss in his hand. Because he goes to be trust. You can't trust no police. I told police that it's like that. Like, I feel like, I didn't tell him, I'm feeling like, I say we lose the trust. You know, we losing trust in people. Our leaders. We losing trust with our leaders because if nobody out there to defend us, who's gonna do it? But us. You see what I'm saying? Who's gonna be our own police? Because if you were so much of a leader, you wouldn't wear a chain over, you wouldn't wear ropes around your neck, you wouldn't walk around with a black noose, you wouldn't walk around with fake dogs, because it's still saying that you bound and chained and you're trying to get a loose. They still have you bound and chained. There's only so much that you can do for yourself as being a person, and so much you can do for us. Now, you probably negotiated, hell, I can let them march. I'll make sure they don't march in the streets as long as you let us go at 12. You know, as long as you let us go till 12 or something. You see what I'm saying? But they're not told to be in the right time. I never seen them out there in like 2 or 3 days since they hemmed us up in this point. I haven't seen them in 2 or 3 days. Because I told them that. Because we lose the faith. That's what I told you. We lose the faith. We lose the faith in you. You think you're working with the cops. You think you're working with the fucking...
That's what I saw happening the other night.
You think you're working with the mayor because if you wasn't, why would you tell us to leave? And then once they start shooting bang bags, you didn't stand up for us and said, stop. This is not going to happen to our people. We stood at that front line. And we was willing to take a bang bag for anybody who was getting shot with a bang bag. We stood there and told that cop, stop, chill the fuck out, you tripping, we got this, let us handle him. And they stood at that line.
Wait, someone in my chat just said, and I believe they're talking about Ron Johnson, he lost all credibility when he said and tweeted the bad guys were firing bullets. Or maybe they might be talking about Antonio French, because I remember him seeing it.
He gonna be hated. That's all they doing for power and shit against him so that way if he get out of line, he's gonna be hated too. They gonna make the people hate him. Ron Johnson, he knows nothing about the truck, man. The dude, like, I'm gonna go shake his hand. I say I piss in his hand. I piss in his hand. Because he goes to be trusted. You can't trust no police. I told police that it's right now. Like, I feel like, I didn't tell him, I'm feeling like, I say we lose the trust. You know, we lose the trust in people. Our leaders. We lose the trust with our leaders because if nobody out there to defend us, who's going to do it? But us. You see what I'm saying? Who's going to be our own police? Because if you were so much of a leader, you wouldn't wear a chain over, you wouldn't wear ropes around your neck, you wouldn't walk around with a black noose, you wouldn't walk around with fake dogs, because it's still saying that you bound and chained and you're trying to get a loose. They still have you bound and chained. There's only so much that you can do for yourself as being a person, and so much you can do for us. Now, you probably negotiated, hell, I can let them march, I'll make sure they don't march in the streets as long as you let us go at 12. You know, as long as you let us go till 12 or something. You see what I'm saying? But we're not told to be in the Black Panther. I never seen them out there in like 2 or 3 days. Since they hemmed us up in this corner, I haven't seen them in 2 or 3 days. Because I told them that. Because we lose the faith. That's what I told you. We lose the faith. We lose the faith in you. You think you're working with the cops. You think you're working with the fucking...
That's what I saw happen the other night.
You think you're working with the mayor because if you wasn't, why would you tell us to leave? And then once they start shooting bang bags, you didn't stand there for us and said, stop. This is not going to happen to our people. We stood at that front line. We stood at that front line. And we was willing to take a bang bag for anybody who was getting shot with a bang bag. We stood there and told that cop, stop, chill the fuck out, you tripping, we got this, let us handle him. And they stood at that line.
Wait, someone in my chat just said, and I believe they're talking about Ron Johnson, he lost all credibility when he said and tweeted the bad guys were firing bullets. Or maybe they might be talking about Antonio French, because I remember him seeing it.
Growing up, I always knew I'd find my perfect match. A match that would support me, build me up, a match that would be sweet. And I finally found that. When you find your perfect match, you'll feel the difference. Find your perfect match at sundownnaturals.com.
Him like that. Yeah, they might be talking about Antonio French here in the chat.
He's
a politician, you know? I mean,
to Antonio French, why you didn't file charges against those cops when they locked you up, dragged you out your car, threw you on your car and said the reason why I'm locking you up because you didn't leave, and see what his response is going to be. Or when you catch him down here tomorrow, ask him that question.
I have a feeling that any questions I ask to Antonio French are going to be answered in a similar way that Ron Johnson did. Right, you know, legitimate questions that people online have.
Point them out to me, and I will ask them that question.
Okay, I'm sorry. They were actually talking about Tim Pool in the chat. I'm sorry. But it sounded like something
that
I've seen it. No, Antonio French. He's been dividing a good part of that, and I don't want to take away from the good that he's done. He's a community leader here, so, you know, I'm only reporting, I'm only saying what I've seen. You're getting my...
I'm saying.
And you're from here.
I'm saying what I'm saying.
And you're from here.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. But for me, watching on the news before I got down, that's what I'm reporting on. Because how are you going to end his out his own mouth? They dragged him out of his car. They told him, and he asked them, why are you locking me up? Took him down.
Hey, are you going to your car to charge your phone? Yeah. Okay, I'll probably be around there. All right, in front of the meat market, or in front of the liquor store.
Took his camera from him, and then told him the reason why he's doing it because he didn't leave. He just asked him to leave, and he didn't leave. And they didn't care if he was out of it or not. You see what I'm saying? They don't care. Because if they cared, they would have treated them like they treat Carl McCaslin, whatever her fucking name is. They would have treated them like they treat her. If they catch her out here, snapping pictures, riding around in her car, through chaos, let them tell it. They want to treat her like a princess. Come on. Or the mayor of Ferguson, like a king. Come on. You guys don't need to be in her and escorting them out of her like they Bill Clinton or Obama. You see what I'm saying? So it's a racial thing, and that's what we need to realize. It's a racial thing, and they're trying to turn this into a law. They're trying to turn freedom of speech into a law. They're trying to take away all of our rights, and this is what the American people need to focus on. This is what we need to stay focused on, and this is what we need to continue doing. Because once freedom of speech gets turned into a law, once they get to taking away our rights, we have nothing. We have nothing. So we would have to go somewhere else, live in some other country. They got, different laws than what they have. You see what I'm saying? We don't have this the free country. You know what I'm saying? And from it not being free no more, like, it's just an experiment. It's just an experiment, man. And it's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse. This is something that they will be able to show the people and tell the people this can be next. Once they go to California, once they go to Atlanta, once they go to Texas, wherever they're going to go, this is going to be them next. If they get out of line, if they loot buildings, if they go around breaking things, if they go around throwing at police, you want to have army troopers at your front door. You want to have police at your front door. You're going to have tanks rolling through your city, and they're going to be shooting tear gas and pointing AR-15s at you, assault rifles, automatic assault rifles at you, and ready to pull the trigger. When you get a gun pointed at you by the police, you don't know if you're going to live or die, because they are the police. You don't know if you're going to live or die, because anything can trigger their mind to make them pull that trigger. You can itch the wrong way. You can move your hand the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? You can blink.
I got a couple of questions from viewers here. And one you kind of already answered on, but she's asking directly, what do you think about the leaders selling out in the community? I mean, we've kind of already talked about Antonio French and the leaders. Maybe she didn't hear, maybe my chat's a little late, right? Right. But you were talking, because I don't think they caught when I first went on. It was you were kind of quiet. You were talking about some of the leaders and how it's better just to be the people.
The people. We gonna, for one, I'm gonna make it plain and simple. We're gonna have to start policing ourselves because we can't trust them.
But they think that's what they're doing. And I'm not saying there's a few groups down here, aren't there?
It's a few groups down here, but they ain't doing no more than what we doing. They're not doing no more than what we doing. The same thing the police say, that's what they say. Stay out the street. Keep up. Walk on the sidewalk. Don't sit down. And they mounted different people. Free peace or something like that. And then they got these other people with this orange shirt dragging you up if you sit down. You can't sit down. The cops is not going to let you sit down. This one man said, I got a bad leg. That's why I'm laying down. She said, well, you better do this and shake it out. I say that's what the police gonna tell him too. And he gonna get his ass up and start walking. Whether he got a prosthetic leg, I heard someone was out here sitting with a prosthetic leg. They made him get up and start walking. So what do you think they think about them? They make them get up and start walking. They can't walk past the same thing we do. They walk around like a caged snake too in a fish tank. Circle, 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 circle until your feet get tired. My feet had blisters on them. The other day I walked so damn much, they had blisters on. You know what? I'm not walking with them no more because that's not what I'm for. I'm not for Mike Brown. I'm not for Pete. I'm not for Jesse. I'm here for equality. That is what I'm here for. I'm trying to make sure these laws don't get pushed through like they trying to push them through. I'm trying to make sure we stay with the freedom of speech. We stay with the freedom of assembly. And if we want to have a sit-ass, we can have a sit-ass. You see what I'm saying? That's what I am here for. That is what I'm here for. Now, most of these people is going home because they did what they wanted to do. Free Mike Brown, justice for Mike Brown, blah, blah, blah. But what are your real reasons? That's only one. And you see how they act towards us when we hurt. You see the prejudice thing. How it's so prejudice when we hurt. So you mean to tell me that's all you gotta say? Is justice for Mike Brown free? It was a prejudice act when he shot him 6 times like a dog and left him down there to rigor mortis kicked in. And like an example to all of us, this can be y'all next. If y'all step out of line, if y'all decide to steal something from the store, if y'all decide to steal something from me, if y'all do anything, this will be y'all next. He left him down there in a community of black people as a sign saying this can be you next. It was a prejudice act then. That's when the prejudice act kicked in. So a lot of media saying it's not prejudice. Oh, it's way beyond prejudice. It's prejudice. And that's what they need to know. Look at all these cops out here and tell me how many black cops you see and how many white cops you see. And that is counted. Sergeant and lieutenant. It's not even a handful of black cops. And then once you figure out that, go up there on the target lot and tell me how many National Guards you see and how many white National Guards you see? Y'all saw it? Yeah. How many y'all saw it? A lot. White National Guards, right? Oh yeah. No black National Guard. Yes. And if it is, it's probably why I haven't seen the black National Guard too.
Isn't I think the general in command is black. I saw him on the news. Yeah. Beyond, right? He was just down there. He was what? No, he was black. He was streaming. No, that wasn't him. That was somebody else. The general in the National Guard. Yeah, the guy in charge, right? But beyond that, only one. I'm not sure. I haven't seen.
Only one. And I haven't even seen him yet. But only one. The people that's driving the tanks. Tell me how many of those are black and white. It's not even a handful of black cops out here. See, if you want to bring someone in the neighborhood, bring a minority of cops. Bring some white cops, some Chinese cops. You don't even see them. Every cop in this area, in Ferguson area right now, are white.
Now, I heard reports that they were asked about that directly, and when asked in a press conference, I believe it was the chief of Ferguson Police said they have a quote-unquote retention problem with African-American police officers. A retention problem. Meaning they're not staying on the force level. Right. What does that tell you about the culture within the force?
Because it's something hidden in the force. And they're not going to tell you this because, why? It's a brotherhood. They sworn an oath. Now they probably tell their family member or somebody else, but as far as telling the people, if you're not cool with them or family with them, they're not going to tell you. But it's something within the force, like you said. And it got to be a prejudice act. The white man can pay more than the black man. The white man get more hours than the black man. The white man get higher rank than the black man. And they transfer municipality. Now, if you really want to know something, do a background and see how many cops have been transferred from St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and black cops, or even just minority cops, period, and see how many transferred and how long it took them to transfer and how they rank was, what rank they had before they transferred and what rank they had after they transferred. You see what I'm saying? Those are the things that we need to do to bring to them and say, why is this not happening? See, if a cop come out and tell the truth about it, one cop will come out and just tell the truth about what's going on behind these police walls, it will bring down the whole police force.
But see, it's a state of fear, I think, in my opinion, within the police force. They'll lose their job, they'll lose their pension, they'll be ostracized from the force, the other officers will harass them. Right.
Do I think this is going anywhere? The answer is no. Do I think that the things that happened last year, actually last week, they murdered a man named John Crawford, 22 years old. He was in a Walmart with a toy rifle, and some white folks decided he was robbing the store with the toy gun. And when the police came in and told him to put the gun down, he may have thought they were joking. They executed him. We have a African-American murdered. This is with grassroots statistics. In the best case scenario, one person is murdered roughly every day by police or security persons, which means that if we just do the Obama period, I mean, that's every year 365 people. That means something like 1,500, 1,700 people have been killed, almost as many as people have been killed in Gaza. Okay, by the White House and his crony, Eric Holder, who is a very, very dishonest law enforcement person who's made his career off of destroying black men. They've done nothing. The Justice Department's ability to enforce civil rights doesn't exist because it was destroyed by the Bush administration, and the Obama administration has done nothing to put force and resources and persons in to uphold this. In fact, the Obama administration and Eric Holder have allowed blacks literally to be murdered as a human sacrifice to deflect the rage of the public against them. And so the FBI isn't really the issue. The issue is that the United States is supposed to conform with the International Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, and through skullduggery and fraud, it has used what is called a Reservation Understanding Declaration, claiming that the Constitution is sufficient to deal with the issues that African Americans and others face, which is a lie. And this is the policy of neglect. So blacks being murdered by the police and the FBI and others either participating, doing nothing, or looking the other way or covering up is policy. If it were not, this wouldn't be so consistent. So the answer is the African American people need to demand, along with other people, that the United States comply completely and get rid of its Reservation Understanding Declaration and enforce the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, as well as the International Convention for Civil and Political Rights, as well as the International Convention for Social, Cultural, and Economic Rights. This is what's needed. So the FBI should not be trusted. The same way I said to someone, asking the FBI, which is part of the government, which works with the judiciary, which is corrupt across the country, and engaged in human rights nullification against the African American people writ large. So I have no confidence in the FBI. This is faith-saving. It's interesting that these riots have occurred on the 49th anniversary of the Watts Rebellion, in which blacks rose in 1964, August 11th, because they couldn't take police murder, brutality, poor housing, poor schools, and American apartheid, which we still have here. And so we're up. The years of repression that have gone on in this country since the early 60s are coming to a head. And I think the FBI's response is too little too late, and they don't really mean it.